Angela.
Okay.
Right here. Can you get that?
Yes,
There
sir.
you go. That's the one that's spotted.
Okay, good. Well, good evening, everybody. This is Angela Jameson, Secretary of the Inland Wetland Commission, calling the meeting to order of the Inland Wetlands Commission on So Chair Dan Stepanek has asked me to be Chair Pro Tem as he is joining us via Zoom. So please could I hear a motion for Chair Pro Tem?
Yes, Beth Sanford here. I move that Angela Jamison is the pro tem chairman for this meeting.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Thank you. All those in favor, please raise your hands. All those against? Any abstentions? Thank you. So now we need a secretary pro tem, and I would like to nominate Beth Sanford. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Priscilla. All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those against? Any abstentions? Thank you. So Beth Sanford is Secretary Pro Tem. So next we should have the roll call. Commissioner Sanford, would you like to call the roll, please?
Yes. Dan Stepanek,
Present.
Angela Jamison,
Present.
Beth Bernally,
Present.
George Perkins,
Absent.
Anthony Sillo,
Absent.
Priscilla Woke, present. Beth Sanford here. And Katie Owsley.
Absent. Thank you. Well, we have a quorum, but we don't have any alternates here to seat. So I think we're good. So the next item is to approve the minutes of the regular meeting, March the 20th, 2023. And then we have some other minutes to approve. But let's start with those for March 20th. Hopefully you've all been able to review them. Do I hear any comments or questions? If not, would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Dan, second, please. Priscilla Woike. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you. All against? Any against? And any abstentions? Abstention. Ruth Brunali abstains. So next, let's vote on the minutes of the special meeting, March the 22nd, 2023. Any questions or comments? If not, may I hear a motion, please? Thank you, Priscilla. Seconded by?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Dan. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Aye. All those against? I see none. Abstentions?
I abstain.
Thank you, Beth Brunali. And then finally, we have the minutes of the site visit, March the 16th, 2023. Any questions or comments regarding those? If not, may I hear a motion, please? Thank you, Priscilla. And seconded?
I'll second it.
Dan, were you there?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I wasn't. I'm sorry. No, I cannot second it. No.
Okay,
I'll second
Beth
it.
Sanford will second it. So all those in favor of the minutes, please raise your hand to approve. Okay, that's 3. All those, Dan, I don't think you can vote on this.
Okay, you're right.
Okay. Any against? No. Any abstentions, please?
I was not present, so I'll
Thank you.
abstain.
Thank you, Beth Bernali. And Dan, do you wish to? Dan, are you? I'm calling for abstentions.
Oh, yeah, I abstain. Yes.
Thank you. Very good. So now we can open the regular meeting. We have 2 applications to receive this evening and then schedule for the future regular meeting, which is the Monday, the 15th of May. The first is application number 22-23-29, 11 Butler Lane. And then the second is application number 22-23-30, 113 Hemlock Hill Road. So as I mentioned, they will be discussed at the Monday, May 15th meeting. And we're proposing to have a site visit for May the 3rd at 8 a.m. Could I see a show of hands for all those that are available for the site visit on May 3rd? Thank you. I see 1, 2, 3. Beth, are you available?
I'm just checking my calendar.
Thank you. I'm afraid I'm not available.
Sorry.
Right. Beth would have, hopefully, yes.
Yeah, I can make it.
Thank you. So we have a quorum for the site visit on May the 3rd, 2023 at 8 a.m. So now I would like to open the public hearing. Application number 22-23-24, 67 Carter Street, Estate of Hartwell C. South. Petitions in accordance with section 16 spot 5, petitions on boundaries. The applicant requests changes to the inland wetlands and watercourses map New Canaan, Connecticut. And the agent for this particular application is William Kenny, soil scientist. So I'd like to invite Bill Kenny to present. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. Bill Kenny, Principal William Kenny Associates in Fairfield. I'm a soil scientist and wetland scientist. Here this evening on behalf of the owners of 67 Carter Street. This property has been owned by the same family for a number of generations, and they are looking to sell the property at some point in the near future. And in order to make the property conditions as clear as possible to potential buyers, they asked that we visit the property and identify and delineate where the wetlands were on the property. And then since that was not substantially the same as the town map, they asked that we submit an application to you, to the commission, to ask that you amend your map to reflect the conditions on the site that we observed and identified. So to that end, we did prepare an application and submitted it to you, and we are here this evening to review that with you. It's a pretty straightforward application. The paperwork was pretty standard, and as far as drawings go, they're fairly simple. What we've included at the end of your package were 3 different drawings, and I could share a couple of those with you right now. Go to the screen. And the drawing on the left is from your town GIS and indicates the wetlands as shown on your map. The teal color is the property boundary. So this is 67 Carter Street. Carter Street runs north-south on the east. The roughly rectangular shaped property house sits up close to the street with a driveway on the south side of the house that comes in. There's some other structures on the property that are more in the central portion of the property. And the shaded green area is the area of wetland per your map. The map on the right is the survey. And I'm going to see if I can mark on here where the wetland area is, that roughly where that is. Let me see here. Oh, I think I'm gonna have to stop sharing for a minute. It's only allowing me to share one drawing at a second. One drawing at a time. Let's try this again. Okay, now can you see the survey now?
Yes,
Yes. Was it visible earlier or just the town GIS map?
Just the town GIS, and can you zoom in at all on the map that you're
Sure.
reviewing?
Okay,
That's great.
great. So on this map, the wetland boundary that we marked, identified, and then marked in the field with flagging is roughly here, or it is here. And then the surveyor picked up the flag locations and then added this line to the drawing to show where that boundary was. The town map showed wetlands extending pretty much in an area like that. And with the development of the property back in the 60s, if the wetlands had extended up in that area, they certainly, and that was before the wetland law was in effect. But any wetlands that might have been there at that time had been removed as part of the development of the property. You can see there's a septic system is at the north side of the property, and then you have the house, and the driveway is here. So with those activities, it's our professional opinion that the wetland line is now, as noted, in this area. So that's pretty much it. Please answer any questions that you might have.
Can I just do a general question?
Yeah, sure.
Kathleen Holland for the record. Bill, on the survey that was done towards the rear of the property, there's just a note that says wetlands. So I know I read your report and everything, but your interpretation is that the wetlands literally go to the rear stone wall?
That is correct. There may be a small area here or there that we could omit an inclusion, but for the most part, it is pretty much wetland soils through there. Around the existing garage, there might be a small area of non-wetland area.
Thank you.
For the record, this is Angela Jameson. I just want to firstly clarify what I'm looking at. So the proposed change to the wetland is the brown line that just disappeared.
I'll put that right back for you. Yes, this
Yeah.
is.
And then what were the green circles?
That was just my quick calling out of existing features on the property. The
Okay.
septic system at the north, the house in the
Right.
center, and then the
Okay, so-
driveway in the south.
So nothing to do with the wetlands, but it's interesting that the original wetland line, according to the town's map, was so far towards Carter Street. Is it common for wetlands to erode to this extent when there is development of this kind?
It is pretty common with development that occurred before the 1970s, particularly, and there's different, not all wetlands are the same. Some are drier than others, and this is a gently sloping wetland. And at the upper limits of wetlands like that, they tend to be drier. And so they might only be wet for a few weeks in the spring, and then the rest of the year, they're pretty dry. So from a development perspective, if you are not considering wetland preservation, it's pretty easy to develop that area and in a way that allows you to put a house in, and using current drainage practices, you could do that and eliminate a wetland. and that was commonly done before the law went into effect. Another factor is that the town mapping is based on reviews of aerial photos and not based on a review of an intensive evaluation of on-site soils like what we do when we map soils on an individual lot basis. So there's I think there's two things happening here, is that line isn't very precise or accurate, and also you have the development that occurred.
Thank you. And if I could ask another question, how confident are you that the line that you are proposing for the wetlands now is picking up all the wetlands? Were you able to see this property at perhaps its wettest time, or was it pretty dry, for example?
We were able to, so we actually were out there at the wettest time of the year, so and by using soil types as an indicator, as it's important to note that it also, because it's based on soil type, it allows us to determine wetland limits at all times of the year. But certainly it's an added benefit to be able to do it in the wettest time of the year. So the soils are consistent with also the hydrologic conditions that we were witnessing when on site.
Thank you.
Yeah, Beth Sanford here. Question, you also had marked, because I was on the site visit, the watercourse locations as well. Where would one find that on your map?
Is there, when you were on site, was there a particular area that came to mind? Or I know that there is the property line wasn't, we didn't realize it, but there is a water course that runs parallel with the northern property line, and water's draining from the east to the west. So we did mark the edge of that water course.
I thought there were different color flags, no?
No, okay. Kathleen Holm, for the record, this particular lot does not have any field located water courses
Okay.
directly on it. I think the other flags were denoting deep test holes for a septic system and percolation testing.
Okay.
So that was the difference flagging that you had seen at the site.
Yeah, Kathleen, this is Dan Stepanek. When is the map, if it's changed, what's the process now with changing the map?
So the process that you're doing is currently within your regulations. They're required, as Bill said on his intro, this particular property owner is the estate is wishing to sell the piece of land, and routinely we get inquiries from potential buyers wanting to do various things at this location, and none of the land use staff are able to give any comprehensive information to anyone until we can lock down on some of the principal things at the site, such as where are the wetlands located, septic wells, all that kind of stuff. So within your regulations, section 16.5, petitions on boundaries, requires this commission to hold a public hearing and review the evidence as testified by Bill Kenny, who's a certified soil scientist, as to his evaluation of the field conditions and actually denoting and identifying through not only his testing and evaluation that he did, but then subsequent to that is the surveyor putting that information onto an A2 survey. So should you be inclined to do so, the commission would adopt this, the A2 survey that Mr. Kenny has provided into the record. And then for you, on your behalf, I would write a letter to the owner of the land, acknowledging that their petition for the boundary was accepted by the town of New Canaan. And then the last step, or one of the final steps, is that the A2 survey, as identified in the record, would need to be filed on the town land records in the town clerk's office as a certified map. And that's the whole process from beginning to end for this type of wetland delineation when we do not have the information on a particular piece of land.
And how long does that normally take to change the map?
Well, they've already done their map, their survey becomes the record. So the survey,
Right.
should the commission adopt the survey that has been presented in the folder, that becomes the map, the actual wetland field
I
located,
see.
adopted by the commission. We sign and seal it and it goes on to land records. I write a decision for you acknowledging everything that's been produced in the record and sign it on the commission's behalf if you're going to adopt his flagging for the wetland.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
I would mention that the process of formalizing a wetland boundary like this that's been field delineated by a soil scientist, it is something that you do on a regular basis, but it's usually part of an application to request approval to do some sort of activity, whether it be a new house or something like that. But that when someone applies to you for a permit, you do ask that they hire a soil scientist and check the property and identify where the wetland boundary is and submit a survey that shows that wetland boundary that was determined based on an intensive field survey. And it's almost always that boundary is something different than what's shown on the town map. Sometimes they're very similar and other times they're not. But I would say every month you're seeing maps like this where the wetland boundary differs from your town map. And it's just, as I was mentioning, that the town map was developed with a methodology that isn't as intensive and site specific. So it's good for general planning, but when it comes to site specific activities, that's why you ask that the soil scientist takes a look and provides you with something more specific. And so the real difference with this application is that the owner is not proposing to do any type of regulated activity at the moment. They just want to update the map.
Thank you.
Angela Jameson, for the record, I know that what we're discussing here are proposed wetland map changes, but could you just confirm that the very broken down structures that we saw when we were on our site visit, some of those are indeed in the wetlands, I believe?
Yes, they're through the many years of use of the property, there were improvements that were established years ago that fall within the limits of the wetlands.
Thank you.
And,
So I guess my next question is probably for Kathleen Holland. What would the plan be relative to those broken down structures and what looks like junk in the wetlands?
So two separate questions, that sounds like to me. The structures can remain because they're there as of right. Should someone purchase this property and want to do something in the way of demolition and removal of those structures, that's a wetland application that you all will see at some point in time. There was a considerable amount of pipes and debris and some discarded I don't know what else did you say? You saw some like pipes and
Pieces of wood.
wood and things like that. So there's some small piles throughout the rear area that that's handwork, and perhaps that could be considered as part of your blessing to you can have a special condition on this to hand pick up the discarded debris and properly dispose of that. I think that was mentioned to me by a few commission members who had seen that on the site visit. Bill, I don't know if you, during your site visit and your evaluation, you also saw there was a decent amount of old
Yes.
lumber, pipes and wire and just various things that just seem like they just need to be picked up and taken out away.
Yes, and I did have, you had relayed this comment to me, and I did have an opportunity to speak with the owners regarding that, and they're pleased to go through and remove those items that could be done, removed by hand, that
Okay.
are laying on the surface of the ground. So it wouldn't be anything that required excavation or anything, or any type of machinery. It would just be things laying on the ground that are, that someone could remove by hand.
Okay.
Beth Sanford for the record. There was also like a shed that was kind of collapsed and a car, wasn't there?
Oh, I didn't look that close
There's-
to see a vehicle.
I was definitely a random collection.
Was this near the water course? Not kidding. Yeah, so the shed is a structure, so that might be a little more involved for
Yeah.
removal and would be something that would be done under a subsequent permit should someone wish to, remove those items, but I do not remember a vehicle.
Well, okay, maybe I'm imagining it.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other commission members have questions? If not, I'd like to see if there are any members of the public who have comments or questions. This is a public hearing. If not, there's nobody announced themselves on.
If there's anyone on the Zoom call that wishes to make a comment, this is a public hearing regarding the Carter Street matter. You could just raise your hand and we will unmute your mic to speak. I'm not seeing anyone. There's very few on the call at the
Yep.
moment, so.
Okay, so if there are no further questions or comments, either from commission members or from members of the general public, we will close the public hearing and the commission will move on to discuss and possibly vote on the application before us.
Bob, do you see anyone?
I don't see any.
Okay.
Very good. Then the public hearing is closed and the commission will now discuss and deliberate.
Thank you.
I move that we accept the redefined map that William Kinney has submitted.
And I would like to suggest that we do so with the special condition that all discarded metal, plastic and random construction debris within the wetlands and upland review area should be removed by hand and properly disposed on or before 3 months from the date of adoption. And then secondly, upon completion of the debris removal, the applicant's agent shall notify the town wetlands agent. So I would like to propose that as a special condition as part of the approval. How do other commission members feel about that?
Agree.
So,
Second for a motion then.
yes, so Commissioner Sanford is
Yeah, I
going to
think
make the
it's-
motion with the special
With it,
condition.
with your, just to reiterate, I will propose that, make the motion that we accept the revised inland map with the special conditions that Chairman Pro Temp Davidson proposed.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Priscilla Woike seconds. So all those in favor of the motion, please raise your hands. Thank you. Any against? Any abstentions? Then the motion is approved unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. If you could stop sharing your screen, that would be great. Thank you.
So now we'll
Have
move
a
on.
nice evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Bill.
Bye-bye.
So now we'll move on to the agent's report, administrative actions.
So, let's see, we're at number 9.
Yeah.
So what I got, 1, 2, 3, do I have 5? No. I'll read the addresses. So 5 administrative wetland applications came in, have been reviewed and vetted by myself and of course with my sister departments on their parts regarding engineering, health department, and various activities. So the first one is for the, a permit was issued to the New Canaan Field Club, or the Field Club of New Canaan at 164 Smith Ridge Road. They're reorganizing some of their courts. And there's a full description there. If you have any questions on that, I'm happy to answer those questions, but that was fully vetted by our town engineer, myself, planning and zoning. They also have to go to planning and zoning for a special permit due to the location of some of those courts. So that would be the second phase of it, but we have issued the wetlands permit for that location and the construction of the courts. The next one is a permit issued to Gregory Ezring at 784 West Road. It's a rather lengthy description, but it has mostly to do with reorganization of some drainage infrastructures that have been causing a considerable amount of erosion on the property. That was an engineered plan, again, also vetted by in cooperation with our town engineer and reviewing conditions at the site. They have come up with an acceptable plan to reduce the erosion on the property and help with some flooding effects that had been happening on the property. So kind of a lengthy description, but I try to get a lot in the description there. The next one is a permit issued to William and Lupita Rudat at 13 Woodridge Circle. This is for a construction of a new single-family pool with the usual amenities. That also is required to go to planning and zoning because of the location of the pool. So they'll go on to the next phase. They need our permit first before they go to planning and zoning. So that permit has been issued. Those are activities in the upland review area in order to accommodate a pool at that location.
This is Angela Jameson. I'm just curious why they need to go to P and Z.
2 front yards.
Two.
Yeah,
Oh.
so that they're on the corner.
Oh,
So
okay.
Because the pool, my basic understanding of planning and zoning,
Mm.
it's the location of the pool is considered in the front yard. So they have to get an exception for
Interesting.
the location. There's quite a number of those actually that go to planning and zoning. Next one is for Luke Tajizian, trustee, and Beth Brunelli at 399 Old Stamford Road. This is a project largely shepherded by Mr. Tajizian. I'm never saying that name right. So its activity is to construct some stone wall and some landscaping activities within their area of the property that's in the upland review area. Again, all the details were provided to the office for the way in which they'll be doing that activity. And I believe they're probably going to be anxiously getting moving on that pretty quickly. The next one is Emily Shoemaker at 15 Hampton Lane. This is again a landscaping, largely a landscaping project and some drainage improvements to the property involving the things as described in my description. They have no backyard, honestly, is the biggest issue for this particular location. So they're making a usable space in the backyard that involves I think it was a hot tub or a spa, I guess that we call it a spa, and some patios, and also correcting they have a very high groundwater table at this particular location. So it's causing some effects on their common driveway, and they'll be making some improvements to that location. Again, everything was reviewed. That's an engineered proposal as well, and coordinated with our other departments to move to this point. Any questions on any of those? I'm playing catch up.
Yep. So any other business that anyone wants to raise? If not, could I hear a motion to adjourn, please?
Hesitate there. I know you're all in shock.
So moved by Priscilla, seconded by Beth Brunali, all in favor? Aye. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
We'll see you in a little bit. We'll see you in a month.